It took creation 15 years to figure out what the people really wanted.
This right.
Finally.
I think really they just don't trust me up here alone.
That's right.
They're like, he's gonna need a chaperone.
Yeah, the chaperone, and I have a little buzzer in my pocket that gives him a shock if he starts to say that.
Somewhere Jared just flinched too.
Yeah, right. It's got a long transmission.
It does. It works really well.
How'd it go? You did this with Rob Benedict.
Last
week, right? Or recently?
Yeah.
Was it great?
It was okay.
Was it? I feel like it was probably great. I feel like there was because of his association with the boys.
Yep.
And your association
I
with
think
the
we
boys.
got some nice boys questions.
I would assume you got a lot of questions about your bottom, and he got questions about his wife.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the front and the back.
Compartmentalized.
Well, I did it with Jeff too. Jeffrey Dean came up and we got some good boys questions because obviously Kripke is just hiring people he knows.
Yeah,
Good for us.
Yeah, seriously. I do love that he just keeps hiring Jim Beaver as Robert Singer. Talk about a niche actor. I can only play guys named Robert Singer.
But the great thing is that the real Bob Singer, had he known,
he never would have authorized it.
no, because he thought that Bobby was just going to come in for a few episodes, and Kripke was like, hey, you're kind of my mentor. I'm going to name the boys' mentor after. And Bob was like, all right. he's like, had he known that it was going to be that big of a character and last that long, he's like, I would have never done that.
Well, the funny thing is, if you're an outsider stepping into the world, which I wasn't around when they wrote that character, so I remember asking him, I'm like, hey, how did you end up naming that after myself? God damn it, I couldn't name the character. Kripke did it. By the time I asked him, 500 people had asked him before me, and he was real cranky about it. And just so you know, Bob Singer's Ground Zero is already pretty cranky. So if you build on that, you get real sour.
I texted him the other day. I was like, hey, I'm in LA filming. If you're around, let's go grab dinner or play a round of golf or do something. Days later, he was like, oh, you're in LA, huh?
Yeah.
That was it.
He talks like he texts.
I'll tack him down at some point and make him hang out with me.
Well, I'm sure you guys will go play golf and I've played golf with you guys and it's great. I won't say it's relaxing because Bob takes his golf real seriously.
Very serious.
So I might be the wrong third or fourth. But I'll join you for the dinner. That part. I did play golf with these guys one time in Vancouver, and I've never been more nervous. I love golf. I play golf. I play golf poorly, and I own that. I just warned them, I'm like, hey man, this ain't gonna be great. But it was good. It was a smart psychology because I beat myself down so much to them that when I didn't light the course on fire and overturn the car, they're like, it's fine, not bad.
Rich, that was a good shot.
You're still wearing pants. Good on you.
I wasn't. Let's light up some questions.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Right down here in the front.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My question is, do you have any on-set or actor pet peeves, like things that other people do that you just can't stand? And yeah.
How much time do we have? Go ahead.
Well,
you got something lined up.
I was going to say...
Don't say anything that I do.
Yeah, when a guy does this with his elbows, I'm just like, well, I mean, if you're doing a show or directing, big pet peeve. Actor not knowing the lines, you got to know the dialogue.
Yeah, you got to know your stuff. I would say, and this is something I shared, I may have told you guys this before, but I sat down with the new cast that I'm working with, and we had a dinner just to kind of get to know each other before we started filming. And our showrunner, Derek, got up and kind of gave a little speech, welcome to the show and a little kind of pep talk. And then he turned to me, he was like, Jensen, you got anything to say? And I was like, well, I'll tell you 4 things that helped me and worked for me, and I would encourage you to do the same. And that is, 1, show up on time. 2, know your stuff. 3, what's the third one?
Take off your clothes.
Take off your clothes.
No.
Oh, sorry. That's the voice. No, 3, respect everyone from top to bottom.
Right.
That that goes so far, I think, in just an overall tone of the work environment is when you respect everyone and you hold everybody with regard that they are all part of this process, and you can't do it without any one of them. And then the fourth one was have fun, because we don't have to do this, we get to do this. And so I think people that don't do those things just becomes annoying and even toxic at certain times. And those can apply to any job really. And then then I snuck a fifth one in there, and that was hang up your wardrobe at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's a pet peeve of mine too. What are you talking about that? Because I don't necessarily blame actors, especially actors who start when they're young, because there's sort of that thing where you take off your wardrobe and the next day it's miraculously cleaned and hung up, and you're like, oh, this is what happens.
Dude, that happens in my house.
Man, I need to move into your house.
And he'll kill you.
She'll never find me. She actually came to your house.
But I would say people that it's just there's an unprofessionalism with people, and it can come out in a variety of ways. And the things that really kind of piss me off is when people don't respect those that they think are less than,
right.
Which is bullshit. And yeah, but then there's I'm sure I can think of a lot of different quirks.
I mean, but I think sometimes the things that actors do to get themselves in whatever headspace they need to be in aren't annoying per se. They might be unique to the individual actor or performer or whatever. But
Oh yeah, there are a lot of actors that have little things that they do before each take.
Yeah.
Some are great, some are annoying. I was at the best one. I worked with a guy named Rex Lynn, fantastic actor, amazing guy. I did Big Sky with him. And before every take, they would say, all right, lock it up, roll sound. And then they'd slate and be like, all right, 37 Baker, take 2. And Rex would go, all right, everybody have fun. Before every take. Okay, everybody have fun. And it could be like a death scene.
Yeah, you're crouched over on the porch, working up the tears.
All right, Jensen, let's have fun here.
Laugh your way through it, buddy. Let's go.
But then there's also, I'm gonna out Tomo. Tomo does this thing where before each take, he goes, I'm like, are we in a drum circle now? It can catch you off guard if you're not used to it. I expect it now, but there are just certain things that people do. A real popular one is and those are like acting exercises. I never got trained in any of that stuff, so I don't have any of those things, thank God. But yeah, there's a lot of little quirks that actors do. We're a funny breed. What do you don't do any of that stuff, do you?
Not really, man. I mean, I kind of like, if I'm stiff and need to stretch or whatever, I do that pregame in the trailer before I ever take the stage. So like, by the time I'm on the soundstage, I'm kind of ready for game time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like put me in, let's go.
Yeah, I do a little, so anything I do is that.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing for directing too. I mean, like, you get yourself in the headspace, you're ready to go, and then you go.
Oh, also, this is one that I don't even have to be working with people, just that I see on screen that I'm hyper aware of, is actors who look at their marks.
Oh.
It is, I'm so sensitive to it. Even when, so if this is my mark, right? You get a lot of this, you'll see it, like, keep an eye out for it when you're watching TV or watching film, but you get this. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. And so a lot of times, if they're seeing the ground, they'll do what they call dotting the marks, which they'll take, because you usually have a T mark, right? And they'll pick up all the tape and leave just a little speck of tape, which you can't see, right? So the camera assistants will come up and be like, oh, we're dotting your marks. So what I'll do is I'll go and I'll look at the mark and I'll be like, okay, I'm about 2 feet.
Yeah, your relation to another
thing. Yeah, just
thing.
kind of getting my bearings, and I usually will always nail it, right? You take away a mark for some actors, and it's like they could end up over here. And I'm like, how are you that off? Like, you're not lit, the camera operator's going like, I don't know what.
You never like craft services. You're a guy with a bagel. I'm not in this.
So is this no? The marks were gone. I don't know. It's just
sad. Yeah.
But yeah, you'll notice it.
Don't you think that's more from inexperience than, I mean,
Probably.
It's again, it's like the hanging of the clothes thing. Once somebody tells you once, then it's on you to do it right. Like you're looking at your mark. Once you get called out on it, you're like, oh shoot.
Well, I also think that just some people aren't spatially aware.
Right.
They can't judge that relation to objects or people in a scene. They just miss their marks. I mean, I've literally, in the middle of a scene, just gone over to the actor or actress and just been like, okay, we should go again.
And just so you understand, that matters because maybe I'm now blocking him, or maybe I'm not in the light, or maybe they can't focus on me, I'm too close to the camera, or whatever. It's not just arbitrary. There are specific reasons why things are lined up the way they're lined up. So if you're off by 4 inches, it could be a worthless shot that way.
Yeah, I had an actress one time literally step at me, like, directly in front of the camera. And I'm like, how are they gonna see me if you're standing right in front of me? She's like, what? Yeah, there's a lot of little things. You ever get a
little bit of Pandora's box.
Yeah. And another thing. All right, go ahead and pick somebody.
All right. You're right there on the aisle.
Oh.
That's what happened when you pointed.
You pointed at.
My bad. I was just wondering, like, what are some ways that you guys tell people that you love them without actually saying, I love you? Like, things that you do.
That's kind of weird. We talked about that a little bit last night. That's funny.
I'm psychic.
What's that?
I said I'm psychic.
Well, I know there's sort of like people. There's a book that talks about love language, and are you somebody who gives gifts? Are you an acts of service guy? In the grand world of that stuff, I'm an act of service guy. In terms of how I parent, how I husband, how I am a part of my own nuclear family, it's getting things done. It's how I am, I think, the best version of myself to my kids and wife. And so that's, I'm definitely an active service guy.
That's funny. I'm what's the other? I should know this.
The
What are the other ones?
Words of validation.
Words?
Like words of validation.
Words of
validation.
Gift giving is one of them.
Oh, yeah, touch.
Touch. Yeah, we ain't touch. We figured that out last night. That we're not. In fact, I was talking to Jason Vance about it. There's certain dudes who like hug and like, I love you, man, I love you. And other guys where if the back of your hand brushes their elbow, you're like, whoa, sorry. and thus describes him, me, and man's.
Yeah, I would say that when, at least for me, it's certainly for Deville, she is, like you said, acts of service. So it's, if I see something where I'm like, oh, that didn't get put away, or the trash is sitting there, or the dishes are clean, but then not good, whatever it is, that's not something I want to do, but it's something that I will do because I know it means something to her. And so, yeah, I would say that's probably in the same boat. Yeah. All right. Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Hey, so I just had a quick question just for each one of y'all. As far as you, Jensen, I was wondering, what was it like working on like a set of My Bloody Valentine 3D? And as far as you, Richard, I was wondering, are you a fan of like My Bloody Valentine 3D or?
Yeah.
Wow.
Fire minds, my
It's
friend.
just got awkward. I'm more of a fan of My Bloody Valentine 1D. We got into the second D.
Yeah. That's too many Ds.
And then you can't watch 3D if you haven't seen 2D because the plot falls apart. I only have one of the Ds.
I will say, I'm glad you actually bring up the fact that it was 3D because the experience on set was very much unique because of the way that it was filmed. Have you ever shot anything in 3D?
I have not.
So I think there's a different method now. I think the technology has advanced since we made that movie. But it was pretty new when we did it. And so what they do is they have one camera that points at you, and then they have like a mirror, like a reflector in front of that camera with another camera pointing down. So you have two cameras like this, but this one is just slightly off, which creates the, that 3D image. So just the whole apparatus was really unique and different, not something that I was used to. It was, one camera hanging, another one, and there were bigger cameras. Like now, we're using this new Sony camera.
Right.
Well,
Well,
it's like this big.
were you shooting My Bloody Valentine on film or digital?
We were doing red cameras.
Okay, so new digital.
New digital. And again, with that, there was something to do with the aperture and the photography aspect of it that required like 3 times the amount of light. So it was really, really hot on set because those lights put out so much heat. Although now, even the lighting is different. Like now, it's all LED. But it used to be the really hot burning tungsten or incandescents. And so for that, it was the camera was just really weird. Setups were longer because they had to add more and more light. But other than that aspect, it was all pretty much similar to everything else.
Have you seen how they do that day for night now, which they did in Nope and in House of Dragon, which is a similar idea of the 2 cameras, but one is shooting infrared, and then one is shooting normal, so they shoot during the day, and then utilize the infrared color palette or whatever to make it dark, to make it night. So it still looks kind of crappy, honestly. I think like the technology ain't there.
Right.
Like you watch
but it's getting there.
It's getting there, and it's going to be, it's like the nascent days of what this is going to be, where we're no longer shooting at night. But like or not always, but like there were scenes in House of Dragon where they did day for night. I'm like, that's great. It looks like a black screen. Like you can't see the people walking and talking.
Yeah. They just oversaturated.
Yeah, it ain't there yet, but it's kind of a cool and interesting technology.
Yeah, it's been interesting, just as because for many years the technology was the same. It was film. It was 35mm film. When we started shooting Supernatural in 2005, we were shooting on 35mm, and nobody has that experience anymore unless you're doing a Tarantino movie and he wants to shoot it on film. But
right, they do it as a novelty act.
It is novelty, and all of the processing houses have closed up. Like,
well, the term "print that take" because they would print the take. Now every take is printed because it's just ones and zeros in a memory bank.
Yeah.
But the idea, so they'll say circle the take now. Like I'll circle that one in your list of takes. But the idea of printing the take, they would not send to the developer takes that they knew they weren't going to use because
it costs money to print. Yeah. And there was also check the gate.
Yeah.
So people would go in with a flashlight and look. The camera system would look into the lens and make sure that there wasn't a hair or a piece of dust or something that would have. And every now and again, there would be, and you'd have to go again.
Because it would put a stripe on the emulsion. It would like drag through.
Right.
The
And
film.
so, and I've, young guys these days, they're never going to hear this.
Oh, when it runs out. Yeah.
which is called a rollout.
Yeah.
It's also called the camera system getting fired.
Yeah.
So if you're doing a long take and they don't have enough film in it, what happens is the film runs all the way through, and then that last little strip just hits the thing, and so it's just and that's called a rollout, and that means, well, there's no more film, so I guess we'll stop there and reload.
They also won't ever know the angst of having the giant camera with the film bag on their shoulder.
Yeah.
Because that was a whole different animal. Cameras are featherweight compared to what they used to be, because the actual medium they're using to capture the image is, again, ones and zeros, not actual film on these giant mags.
Well, there was a whole industry of rigs that camera operators would use. Steadicam operator, there would be we call it the shower cam, but it's basically a kind of a backpack type thing that has an arm that comes up here that pulls down on a cord, clips onto the top of the camera, and takes the weight so the camera operator can just handhold it. Now people they just pop it on their shoulder because it's so light. So it's, yeah, the technology in filmmaking has advanced tremendously since we started working in this industry, but even more so, kind of going back to what Valentine, like, I haven't done a 3D movie since, but I hear now that the technology is so much more advanced that it probably doesn't feel much different than just shooting regular.
You know what technology hasn't changed since we started? And I find this interesting, and people who don't know sets and go to sets or watch behind the scenes, they sometimes are surprised to see this. But cameras still require a second person to focus them. We live in a world of autofocus everything, but the camera operators don't focus the camera. There's a separate person watching on a separate monitor with a separate system which goes back to Jensen's comment about hitting your mark. Those marks are measured from a standing point, from a solid point. The camera operator, the focus puller, has measured how many feet Jensen's going to walk forward and knows that when he hits that mark, he's at 7 feet from the camera. So if he overshoots, this guy's now guessing.
Yeah,
Because he's like, oh, shoot,
he's just looking into a little monitor going like, I think that's sharp.
Yeah.
He's off his mark, I'm just guessing. There was my favorite, we had a camera, well, and this is just another advancement in technology, is those focus pullers are now, they're operating remotely. It used to be the focus puller would be right there on the camera, looking at a little monitor next to the camera operator and pulling focus, like on the camera itself. We had a focus puller on Supernatural, Dean Weber, and which was great because every time they said Dean, he and I both were like, yeah. But my favorite one is I walked up to a mark and I hit my mark. I just wanted to point that out. I hit my mark, but I'm, if Dean's right here, the camera's right next to him, and I'm looking this way, talking to whoever, I can just see out of my peripheral that the Dean does this. He goes, so if you're me, he's like this. He's like, and then he does this. And I just stopped talking. I'm like, am I not on my mark? What? Yeah, what? He's like, oh, you're fine. Yeah. I'm like, what? What's the theater?
His whole emotional journey.
I'm watching it. I'm like,
Those focus pullers, that is a job I would never want. The pressure is unbelievable. A buddy of mine who's now a very successful DP talks about his early days of focus pulling. And on film, and depending on the light, as Jensen mentioned, if you are shooting in low light or a slow speed, man, the focus will go out easily if you overshoot or undershoot.
Yeah, what's it called? The focal plane or the
it narrows the focal plane.
Yeah, so like if you, this is the focal plane and I'm just just a little bit further or a little bit away, then it goes soft.
Yeah,
that's what they call it.
And he did this music video where he had to do, it was a very famous person, he had to do this one shot that he was focus pulling on this very slow push in on the singer. And you've seen the video because everybody on the planet has seen the video. It's that shot of, oh gosh, what's this, the big singer does the national anthem so beautifully, Whitney Houston. It's a shot of Whitney Houston when she goes, and Tom's like, and then they do the slow push in. He's got to
she's got
there's no
ride.
edit. It's just a long push in on her when she pops up and sings that shot.
Oh, wow.
And to this day, I'm like, dude, you've done a shot that everybody on the planet has seen. That's cool. He's like, yeah. And I lost my hair doing it. Because Whitney was going to give us one.
Yeah, that's it.
It was a tough day.
Yeah, again, it goes back to respect everyone that you work with because everybody has a very crucial part of making film. It's not just the actor or the writer or the director. It is all of these people that have to be incredibly talented and good at their job in order to make what we do.
Right. All right. Should we do no one?
Let's
all right. Now, way over there in that quadrant. You young lady.
White sweater.
White sweater.
Good morning. Jensen, as you continue to move forward, with your craft, is there a character or an opportunity that you haven't had a chance to participate in yet that you would really like to exercise or try? A character you'd like to play?
Like a role?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things I think I'd love to do, and things that I have no interest in doing. You know, not to bring up a sore subject, but you know, I've always wanted to do a Western, and I had an opportunity that unfortunately didn't work out. So I think I would love to have another crack at that at some point.
Well, I tried to get you in a Western, and
Yeah.
you said no, and the Western's good.
I didn't say no.
To Old Henry.
I didn't say, but no, it was a scheduling thing because I was already signed up for Rust.
Was that right?
Yeah. Still, I agree. It was a good movie.
You guys never seen Old Henry?
Yes.
He was booked to be Stephen Dorff's role. Yeah.
Not
But
sure.
Mr. Fancy Pants had to go sign on to another Western.
Well, when Baldwin calls you and he's like, "Hey, I want you to be in my movie," and you know, it was exciting. And then, no offense to you.
It's the worst Baldwin I've ever heard.
I can work. I got a good Baldwin, but it just takes me a minute. No. So I would love to get on a horse and play a cowboy because since I was 6 years old, I've always wanted to do that. So that's one, and maybe Batman. All right here in the front. Yep. We'll get you a mic. Right there. Gray shirt. Hi there.
You had several scenes where you were playing pool a lot, and you were really good at it. I just wanted to know if you were actually good at playing pool. I play a lot of pool
Do
in
you?
front of pool leagues, so I was just curious.
I'm good enough to play. You know, I'm not great. The stuff that you saw, some of it was me, but then they also had like a pro that was on hand to do like any massive trick shots. But I think they had lined up a couple of trick shots that they wanted me to pull off, and I did pull them off like on camera. So yeah, I'm decent, but I certainly wouldn't call myself really good. But I'll play it for money. All right, I think we got time for one more. You pick. Me? All right, let's go. Okay, all right, I see you guys waving. Yeah. Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
You had some wonderful guest stars. I mean, Amanda Tapping and a lot of the others, but I've been waiting months to ask you this question. What's Scooby-Doo really like?
What's Scooby-Doo? Really? You know, it's a cartoon, right? You know, we don't actually work with a cartoon dog. No, he's a real bitch. Yeah, never comes out of his trade. Doesn't hang his clothes up. I'll tell you that much. No.
That collar's on the ground.
Everywhere, just in the corner of his trailer kennel.
Somebody has to come in and erase it for him, because he's strong. And redraw it the next day.
Anytime you're doing that kind of like animation stuff with real life, it is a little tricky because obviously you're playing to something that's not there, that will be in there later.
But that's the same as acting with Jared.
That's true. Yeah. In fact, preferably, I would rather work with him not there. Like today. This is.
Hey!
Hi, kid. What is it? It's 11:30. We're fine. We can make jokes now. No, it just gonna go back. It is a test of creativity for the actors when they have to, you know, effectively do things or pretend to do things when there's nothing to really, you know, when there's just a C-stand with a tennis ball on it, and you have to act like that's something that's animated. But you know, it's all part of the craft, and some people are good at it, and some people are better at it. I think I'm just good at it.
You guys did a lot of that though with like, I mean, it's not animation, but the show had so much visual
Special
effect
effects,
to it
visual effects,
that
yeah.
you'd be fighting a monster that wasn't there a lot.
A lot.
Or, you know, or a guy wearing a black suit, but literally the head is going to be 10 feet above him. You know what I mean? Like you guys had to do that a lot.
Well, anytime I like swung a fire poker at a ghost, that clearly wasn't there. And so I'm just whiffing in the air and hoping that they're gonna make it look cool in post. And
Right.
sometimes they didn't. You know what I wish would have not, wish would have just been visual effects is my fight in the church where I just hung like a doll. It was like the worst experience on Supernatural.
The marionette fight.
Yes, yes. It was Team America. Oh, God. If I could turn back time. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you all later.
Thanks for letting me step in and enjoy the party, everybody.